Hi, guys. So, welcome to Tickers, the new series on the Limitless podcast, where we discuss listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Matthew,
And I'm Thaon.
and today we'll be talking about Tropical Battery, or ticker as Tropical. And before we get into the video, once again, we'd love if you guys could subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or follow us on your podcasting platform of choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. It really means a lot to us. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's get it.
So, let me share my screen. Yeah, so Tropical Battery, right? So, first off, we have our typical format that we've been using for tickers. Drop a like if you guys like the format and like our Notion stuff, or you'd prefer us to go away from the Notion and just chat. But the first thing, you always want to try to understand, how does that company make money, or not even just company, anything you're investing in, you want to understand, okay, how does this thing make money? At the end of the day, you want the thing to generate some form of money, or some return on investment, right? But for those who don't,
you own piece of it. That's all stocks are. It's just piece of the company. So if they're making money, you're making money.
Or hopefully. But yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, I feel like a lot of people probably have heard of Tropical, but the Tropical battery, it's in the name. They distribute a lot of batteries for automotive, automotives. So cars, trucks, buses, a lot of those stuff, they use Tropical's batteries. Tropical isn't a manufacturer, they are really just a distributor. And most of their revenues, I found that, I think it was the Mayberry Forum in 2021, they had said 80% of their revenues really comes from battery sales. And so they sell, cars, cranes, trucks, and they have their own branches. So they actually can sometimes sell direct to the consumer. And I've actually even been there before. I think I've been to like two of their branches there. I think it's Ashenheim Road. I remember
I have no idea.
when the pandemic had hit early on, right? I had my car. I just got my car not too long ago. And because we weren't really driving and stuff, everyone was trying to, stay inside. We're afraid of, what was going on. There was a lot of uncertainty. I didn't end up driving my car for a long time. And then there ended up being a point where I was like, okay, I need to go out and do something. And, I turned on the car and it just wouldn't start. And I was just like, wow, like what's going on? And I think I got a jump start that time. And I think I drove down, because the battery wasn't an old battery. Like I think it was changed not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I actually just drove down to the branch and, they checked it up. It was still on warranty. I just showed them the warranty documents and stuff. And they sorted out my battery and they charged it up and did all of that at that branch,
Nice.
So big up to them.
Which area?
It's Ashenheim Road.
I have no idea where that is in Jamaica.
It's near Crossroads.
Oh, is that close to Medical Associates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's the branch.
That's where I got my battery chain too. Sick.
Yeah. So big up to them. And another time, I've actually used they have a delivery service, or like a mobile service, where they will actually. There was a time where there was an issue with the battery, and I found out about the number. I'd heard about it, and then I just called the number, and they came on a bike, brought the battery, and changed it, did it all for me there. And I was just like, wow, like that's really convenient.
Extremely
you don't have to
convenient,
get a jump start, because I don't think anyone was at my house that could give me a jump start.
Yeah, that's very convenient, to be honest.
But even though they do sell direct to consumers, a wicked tangent, even though they do sell directly to consumers, which obviously usually gives you higher margins, because if you're selling it, say it costed, I don't know, $10,000 to make the battery, and you're selling it at, say they were selling it at $15,000, so they're making 50% on that. Usually what would happen is that when they're selling it to someone else, that person wants to sell it at a price, but they usually have to sell it to that person for a slightly cheaper price.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll still sell it to make profit. For Tropical, will still sell it to make profit, but they won't make as much money from it because that person who is selling it, who is, you know, distributing it or setting up getting the customer, marketing it, they have to get a cut out of it. So Tropical essentially has to give them some of that money. And they do have quite a lot of retailers. At the time of the prospectus, I saw that it said there were 1,000 resellers. And, you know, that's like gas stations, automotive parts stores. They are the largest. They're actually the largest in the space in Jamaica.
Okay, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Would make sense because if I think about car batteries,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably the only ones I can think of. I've seen a billboard with another one, but I can't remember the name. So Tropical in my head is such a household name.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they also export and recycle some of these batteries. That was something that they started. So they have some sort of partnership with someone. These are like the lead acid batteries. And it was, let me see, North America's largest lithium ion battery recycler. And yeah, in Ontario in the US. And the market share that I saw that they have was 70%. And this was this was the Mayberry Investor Forum. They said this was June 2022. So they said they have, and the thing is they have like these different brands, like they have different ratings essentially on the battery. It's almost like a lower tier and then like a slightly higher tier.
Yeah.
And then, you know, depending on your use case, depending on how much maybe you drive, the type of vehicle, things like that, it may be more suited.
Yeah, I think the warranty for the different tiers are different. So the highest tier, the warranty is like a couple of years or so on. So yeah, but it's obviously way more expensive.
So that's the battery side of the Tropical battery. But they still have, you know, some other sides, the non-battery side. So this is things like think of it as the batteries are for the usually vehicles, different types of vehicles, but then they have other accessories that these vehicles need. So they actually even sell tires. They sell things like fluids, certain, like I use their coolant. They actually sell coolant, car coolant.
Nice.
So they sell brake fluid, oils, lubricants, windshield wiper fluid, deionized water for radiators. They sell a lot of those. It's like vehicle related products. So they sell the battery to power it, but then they also sell a lot of other things. And it kind of makes sense. Like instead of just you go to the place for your battery and you might be like, yo, I'm just realized I'm running low on coolant. So you just take up the coolant and you take up the battery too. So it makes sense. It just goes really well there.
Especially for their resellers too, because if their resellers are like gas stations and so on, it just makes sense that their products would also be sold there as well. Because they already have that relationship with the reseller. So you might as well push some of the products that you may either manufacture now, because they distribute these batteries and they already have these contracts with these resellers. So if they also produce other things, as you're saying, like coolants, I don't know if they have, like you said, lubricants and so on, it just makes sense to approach those same entities and say, hey, we also have these products. Why not sell these as well? So
yeah, makes sense. And they have 6 branches. So I mentioned Ferry, Grove Road, Ashenheim Road. They have one in Ochi, Montego Bay, Manchester. So they hit a lot of the main towns, mostly in Kingston, but then some of the other developing towns and stuff like that. And what we should speak about are some of their subsidiaries. So a big one that they have been very bullish on is Rose Batteries. So they are actually a manufacturing company that Tropical. This was a really big deal when I started doing like some research on it. They are actually a battery manufacturing company, and they manufacture all types of different batteries. A lot of like customized batteries in the medical field, in the aviation field. So things like, if you have some sort of drone and you're like a scientist and you want to make certain amounts of drones with certain batteries, you can go to this business called Rose Batteries in the US, and they can manufacture them. They'll set up prototypes, do the tech for you, go into, okay, what do you need? They even do things for the military. Like they do some very, very, specialized batteries and stuff like that. This is actually their website. Here, let's pull this up. Yeah, so they go through the industries here: military, UPS, medical, smart grid, oceanographic, railways, emergency response. They do a lot of different, they hit a lot of different industries. So there, and Tropical Battery actually bought them, and we're going to talk a bit more about some of the details on that. What I saw was that they have 2 factories. They have one in the US and they have one in Mexico. The larger one is in Mexico. So apparently what they'll do sometimes, if you need a certain amount of batteries, they may, like, say it's a lower amount, they'll put you to the US factory, and then if you need a lot more, they can send you to the Mexican factory where they can really produce a lot more or help you to meet that demand that you might have. So you can see here, so high volume will be Mexico, and then made in the USA. And they actually bought, it was, let me see, they bought 100% on, this says January 30th, 2024 for about 22.8 million US. So it was not cheap. Wow. And actually, they actually are planning to issue or create some shares also in relation to that. So technically, I don't think the 22 million was inclusive of that. I think that was the cash part of the deal, but we'll speak about that more later. Okay. But they are also now a manufacturer of batteries, just not necessarily the batteries that, you know, it's not like Rose Batteries, I think, is going to start making batteries for Tropical, but maybe that could even be a possibility, but I doubt it. Because Rose doesn't really seem to do just like, okay, certain generic car batteries. It seems to be a lot more specialized batteries. But that was really big to me, because I'm like, yo, a Jamaican company is buying out a big US company, and Rose is apparently one of the biggest in the space, like in that area. So that was a pretty big deal to me. Like, big up to the team at Tropical. Hopefully one day we can have one of them on the team, you know, and speak it into being.
Maybe one of the CEO, Melville's. That would be great. Yeah.
Other thing I should speak on, they have another subsidiary. This isn't fully owned, but it's a company called Kaya Energy. It is a solar company. They help to finance, design, install, and maintain certain solar production systems. They've apparently done over 300 companies, and they're based really in the Dominican Republic. Something that I saw that was, hold on, let me show this up. I think this is their website. So you can see their website here. They look at all of these different businesses that they've worked with. I mean, a lot of these you probably already know, because a lot of them are like Dominican Republic businesses.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, look at some of these projects that they set up. Look at this, how many panels. Are huge. Yeah, so they've done a lot, and Tropical is the majority shareholder. Something that I saw was interesting. They also have this special partnership with this bank in the Dominican Republic that will help sort out the financing of those projects. And they have certain flexible financing solutions where it's like you can get fixed interest rates sometimes, you can get very long loans, like 20 years. You can sometimes lease the systems. I saw this website was saying that I was trying to see how much money they make. I was seeing that this website said that they make 5.8 million US in revenue, but I don't know how true that was, because it's not like I could necessarily verify it. Maybe I should pull up
the website.
This website here, Rocket Reach. I don't know what their statistics are from, because it doesn't say when this revenue number was, or I don't know, but I don't know. That was just something I found. And Tropical bought a 50% stake March 2023 through a mixture of cash and equity. And they actually have the option to increase their ownership. They can actually own 80% in 2 years, which actually would be coming up soon. That'd be like March next year. And the year is kind of almost over. So yeah.
Wonder how they're going to finance that. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Wonder if an upcoming raise would be, But I guess you'll talk about that later.
And last but not least, I wasn't really able to find much information on this. I was more excited about it when it started, or when I heard stuff about it, because they apparently formed a joint venture, a 50-50 joint venture called Enervate, between them and another listed company, CAC. And it was supposed to start June 2021. And essentially, it was supposed to be this business that would look at, say you're a business and you're like, okay, I want to reduce my electricity. They will do an analysis on your energy usage, and then come up with a solution. It could be, switching out certain appliances, maybe switching out certain bulbs, lighting, changing up certain aspects of, your usage, also incorporating solar systems, and I'm sure Tropical would sell some of their products to them to help out with that energy system and stuff. But I wasn't really getting many updates on that. I saw that they what they were doing, interestingly, was Tropical and CAC have certain branches, and they are using Enervate to upgrade the solar systems at those branches.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't really seen too much on that. But yeah, that's a bit on the Tropical battery, and I think I'll talk a bit about it later too. But they also sell a lot of solar related products, so like panels and lithium ion batteries that you use in these solar systems and stuff. So they benefit from like that renewable energy transition.
Okay.
So some things that kind of I've noticed around the company, something that you should mention is that the government of Jamaica, and along with other governments, we're all trying to increase our usage of renewable energy to try to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases and stuff like that we produce. So the government of Jamaica actually initially had a 30% target, that they said 30% of our energy they wanted to come from renewable energy, but then they revised it to 50% by 2030. And if you think about it, it's 2024 and it's almost the end of 2024. It's almost 2025. So it's about 5 years. And I think we're coming from like 12.5%. So you can imagine that's a very, very big increase that needs to happen.
It's actually an ambitious goal. Where did you find that 50%? Because I was looking in the Vision 2030 Jamaica documents. I don't know if they were amended, but I'm still seeing stuff saying no less than 20%. So I'm seeing a lot of different like figures. I've seen 33%, I've seen 30%, and I've heard the 50%. But yeah,
there was an integrated resource plan that there was updated.
I know the IRP. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to find it. But okay. Yeah. I still think it's super ambitious because even right about now, renewables does not take up that much in terms of the percentage of electricity being generated. So from about maybe at least 5 years ago, the total usage in Jamaica was around a little bit above 1,000 megawatts. Like that was the energy being generated by JPS, right? And I think in terms of renewables to the grid, it was like less than 10%. It was about maybe, I think it was definitely less than 10%. So to have a goal for 50% in what, we're 2024 now, in 6 years, we would need to see some aggressive business in the renewable energy space. So I'm curious to see how that would go.
Yeah. And like there was an article that even spoke about how much money that it would cost to get us to that 50%. I saw 185 billion into clean energy over 7 years to 185 billion Jamaican. That'd be like 1.3 billion US to get us to that. That's a huge 200.
That's huge.
Just under 200 billion Jamaican.
Yeah.
That is and then it said that currently the average annual spending at the time was 75 million US, and that'd be a 17x increase in the spending. 17x. And I saw that like we were partnering with the IMF to give us, $1 billion US or so to actually help with that. But it's still a lot, and it's not. It really is a very big deal. But I do see some, like I see that, for example, there was someone at an investment manager and officer that was quoted in a Gleaner article saying that, there's no shortage of financing for renewable energy projects. So he's saying that the money isn't really the issue. And then I even saw there's this other company, which I guess would be like a competitor of Wigton. I think they maybe had applied for one of the GPE bid that I guess we'll speak about possibly later. There's a company called Soleco. The CEO, Rainford, would love to have her on at some point. She was saying that if you have a project with off-takers, good financing structure, you'll have no issue accessing capital. And she's saying that there's been a real shift in the mindset of the market, and that was January last year. So some people who are in the industry or dealing with the financing are saying, hey, like, you can get the financing for it, you just have to come with a good project, because the need is there.
Yeah.
The need is there. So I think it will be interesting, because Tropical doesn't have to be the one. Tropical isn't a producer. They just are the person who can supply the person. So the people can do all the hard work, go, get the financing, get the deals, actually set it up. All Tropical has to do is just sell them and say, yo, we'll just sell you. And it doesn't matter who gets the project. It's not like, a Wicton that has to bid on the project and compete against other people. If Tropical was to be the one to supply something like that, and that's something that I think they should look into, because these larger projects that are going to be coming up, Tropical, and I think Tropical, that's probably why Tropical is in this expansion mode. They're like, hey, these huge projects that are coming in, we need to be able to supply them. So instead of them using like someone else, they can use us. Like, we can set up some partnership with a company and then just bring in these solar panels or bring in these batteries and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I guess with the thing with renewable energy is storage. Or with a lot of energy, just energy overall is storage. Like, there's always going to be a need to store that energy. I mean, JPS produces energy with they do have some renewables, but majority of what they use is, heavy fuel oil or diesel
LNG,
oil, or,
really LNG.
Even LNG, they use LNG as well.
Liquid natural
all of that
gas
is still, fractional distillation from crude oil. So no matter
easy
what,
with the chemistry, no? Easy.
Relax. Hold them.
Easy.
I placed in the aisle. I joke. Not joking. But either way, you still need, it's not renewable. So the renewables, whenever energy is actually being generated, it does need to be stored in order to be distributed.
It's not constant. Because most of the time, So like solar, the sun isn't always going to be up, the wind isn't always going to be blowing.
So how you going to get energy?
You need to be able to store it in the night. Or when it's not windy,
So things like that. And so no matter what, batteries are going to be needed. So you made a really good point there. With all these different projects or so on, they're all going to need batteries, right? In order to store a lot of that. And battery tech, I don't know if you've been seeing it, but battery tech has been getting better over the years. Been getting much, much better. So hopefully they also become way more affordable. That's the only other thing. So, yeah.
Yep. And some of their competitors, I wasn't really seeing that many. There was an article I read that spoke about this business called Green Concepts Jamaica. I guess they are apparently the only manufacturer of lithium batteries in Jamaica. And they specifically manufacture lithium-ion batteries. And they're saying that their prices can actually be cheaper than the distributors. And they can actually produce apparently 16 batteries a day. But I guess that's kind of the issue. Like, suppose you're someone who, and this isn't even saying what capacity those batteries are. But like, is it 16 batteries of 1 kilowatt or 16 batteries at 10 kilowatts, 20 kilowatts, whatever? That was actually April last year. So I'm guessing that they were saying that essentially they can do batteries cheaper than Tropical. But the issue is, once again, if you're someone who needs a certain level of batteries, and Tropical can bring it in with whichever partnership they have, it's going to be, another thing. Apparently they can actually open and repair the batteries, but other people can't. So it's not like, I don't think Tropical can actually go inside the battery and open it up and fix it. That's what, at least that's what this company Green Concepts was claiming, that a lot of the other distributors can't do what they can do, because they are the ones who, Green Concepts is the one who makes their batteries, and so they can fix it and they can open it up. They can give you a warranty for it. So I found that interesting.
It's interesting indeed.
And something else that I found interesting, because remember I was looking into Kaya, because like, okay, why did Tropical want to buy into Kaya? So I was trying to look into what's going on in the Damrep. I don't really know much about the country. I've never been there. Something that I found interesting, it's funny that I guess right now JPS is getting a lot of flack, and not even just right now. JPS always gets flack, no one like, I would honestly hate to be like the the CEO or the COO or someone, president, chairman, any of those people at JPS, because everybody in Jamaica hates you.
Do you know that with all that's going on with JPS right now, if you look on JPS's website, they actually took down the board of directors and everybody. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, bro, they took them down.
Wow.
This always happens, like it's not the first time I've seen that, where even during the Olympics, I think, was it J3A was getting a lot of flack, and they just took down everybody that was on the board and so on. So I guess it's a way to
do they ever
run
put
away
it back
from
up
response.
then? They just put it back up and
maybe they will, but to me it's just like you're running away from your responsibility, or you just I don't know. I guess we'll see what they do, but yeah, JPS is under heavy scrutiny.
But my point was that I guess I'm actually bigging up JPS somewhat, because I've been reading
controversial take, but okay.
So I've been reading DAMREP and other countries in the Caribbean, even apparently Puerto Rico, they have a lot of issues with their electrical grid. So I was seeing that their grid, sometimes there are places that the power goes out multiple times a day, multiple times a week, a month. And like there was even this report where it said that in 2016 there was a rating that was saying they were having, in certain places, we're having 7.4 outages per month. So that's more than an outage per week. There was actually like this ranking that was showing like different countries in the world, and DAMREP was high up on that list. They were 27th on that list, and I'm trying to see if Jamaica was 58th on that list as well. This is 2010. So I was kind of like, hey, as much as, okay, JPS is expensive, I don't want, like, it's, think about it, we don't necessarily have as much, I guess different areas may have certain outages, but we don't necessarily have certain issues like that. And Puerto Rico is also another country that apparently is facing a lot of issues. Their grid is very out of date, and it really affects like the whole overall economy, because think of it, you want to get investors from outside. These investors want to run certain businesses, but imagine if the power is going out for an hour
regularly,
or like multiple times. Especially global warming, it's getting hotter. It's just in the summer, you want your fans or AC or things like that, and the power is just out, the machines, all of those stuff. It's a big deal. And I was seeing that the Dominican Republic's government is also pretty big on renewable energy. They wanted to increase it there, but they're not, I guess, as ambitious as us, but maybe some people say it's more realistic. They want to get to 25% from 15% by 2030. So they also have some big renewable energy goals. So that's kind of why I see likely why Tropical said, hey, let's buy into this company. Because if DAMREP is also trying to push higher like Jamaica, DAMREP has even more people in the country and more electricity needs, that we can supply that change. So those companies that are trying to enact that change, we can just say, hey, we can supply some of that product, we can help. And then Kaya also helps, those businesses with that transition. So that was some of the things I was looking at.
Nice.
And in terms of some of the plans that they've listed out, one of the big ones that they're talking about now, they are looking into an equity raise. I say that they are aiming for before the end of this year, 2024. And essentially the main reason that they want to do it is that they want to pay down a lot of debts. They had to take on a huge amount of debt to buy Rose batteries, because most of them buying Rose batteries, that business that we spoke about that manufactures in the US, that manufactures certain batteries, they had to take on borrow a lot of money. I think Cygnus helped with that deal. And I mean, right now, it's basically the end of August, so that's just September. If they really do end up hitting end of 2024, that's what, September, October, November, December. That's only about 4 months. So we may be seeing that equity raise soon. And they also want to migrate to the main market. So Tropical Battery, just like a lot of companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, they listed on the junior market. The junior market, it limits how much you can raise. You can raise at the time that they were listing, you could raise up to 500 million Jamaican. The government of Jamaica is trying to increase it to 750 million Jamaican, but that's, I think, still in the works. And the main benefit of listing on the junior market, you get a tax break. You don't have to pay any corporate income tax for the first 5 years after listing, as long as you remain listed and follow the rules. And then the next 5 years, you only pay half of corporate income tax. And corporate income tax is like, what, 25%? So that's a big deal. So they listed on the junior market in, I think, was it 2020? And it's only 2024 now. So they are still in that period of not paying any corporate income tax. But they have said, hey, we are willing to give up the tax break because we want to raise some more money, because we want to grow this business. So it'll be interesting. They're going to migrate to the main market. I think the timeline they gave was end of September or October this year. So we're also going to see that soon. So I guess they'll migrate and then likely do this equity raise. And they are saying they can either do like an APO, third-party investment, or rights issue. But I've kind of heard him say more, he's leaning more towards the APO, and they've given some sort of hint at how much money the APO might be. I saw they said they may want to pay down about half of the debt that they had to take on, which would be about 1.5 billion Jamaican. And I actually did a little, you see in this, I did a little spreadsheet here. Let me try to explain this. So over in the green here, let me zoom in. So over, hold on, let's try this new thing. You seeing this?
Yeah.
So over here, what I did.
You're such a nerd.
I worked out how many shares they have. So this, technically they haven't, I don't think they've issued some of these shares yet, because I mentioned that they said they're buying, but they've bought Rose batteries, and part of that they paid cash, but part of it they're actually creating new shares in Tropical Battery, and they're going to give it to those owners of Rose batteries. So they're saying, okay,
funny, I
you
think
can
they
get
did
some
the same
money
for Kaya, didn't
yeah,
they?
but not a lot less. So Kaya, I think, was like 3 million shares, but Rose is like, I think, 65 million shares or so. So technically these aren't issued yet, but I'm just factoring it in. Okay, when they get issued, if you look at it, for example, the say they, I mean, they haven't said like a price that they would do the APO at, but I was saying, I mean, if you look at, let's see, oops. If you look at today that we're talking about, this Tropical Battery is listed or is trading at $2.39, and a lot of times, you know, APOs, they usually APO at a price slightly below market price. I was saying, okay, $2 kind of sounds like a nice price. So I mean, I guess I could do whatever. So say they were to APO at the $2. This would be essentially, if with the current level of earnings for the last 12 months, their PE, which is the price to earnings ratio, essentially what you do is you work out how much profit the business has made over the last 12 months or last 4 quarters. You divide it by the number of shares, which I did here, the 1.3, and you get what is known as the earnings per share. So how much money divided by the amount of shares, earnings per share. And then the PE is the price to earnings ratio. So you take the stock price, which I'm using as $2 here, and you divide it by the earnings per share, and you get a PE of 13. So that would be if at the current level of earnings. What they said is that they want to, if they were to say, oh wait, what I should show here. Oh yeah, okay, this is, so say for example, the APO, and they aim for the 1.5 billion, and instead of getting 1.5, they get $1 billion, right? And the APO at $2, they'd be issuing 500 million shares. So instead of having the just under 1.4 million shares, they'd have 1.9 million shares. They'd be increasing the amount of shares by 36%. So say with the same amount of profit, I mean, they will end up, you know, paying down the debt, and that should make them more profitable. Their PE could end up being about $18 or so, or it's $18. And the PE at $2 would be about 18. But what I was saying was that here, this in the red, the 150, if they were
That's because
to,
of the tax break. They
no,
no
this
longer have
is,
the tax break. Oh.
this is
Oh no,
me.
finance cost reduction. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
finance cost reduction. So this is, oops. So this is me working out, if they were to pay down most of that money essentially to the finance cost, how much profit they could end up making. So instead of them just having the 205 million, they could end up making, say, 350 million just with the reduced finance cost, as if they don't do anything else. And the PE.
These are profits, though.
So this is profit.
Not profit before tax.
Yeah. So this. Oh wow. See, I should probably. I guess I could probably add in an extra tax thing, but this is, this would be before tax. So I was saying the PE at $2, with the higher earnings from paying out the loan, could be a PE of $10 or so if they were to maintain that. But I guess I do have to factor in the tax that they'd have to pay.
Because now they'd have to pay 25%. So if you look at that, paying 25%, I guess you can add that in if you want. Because that's a real thing when I thought about it. If you're going to do an APO and you're diluting yourself, fine. But you're also giving up your tax break at the same time. So I never ran the numbers like you. Big up you for always running the numbers. Guys, if you like Preston running the numbers, leave a like. All right. But if you're also just giving up your tax break and now you're paying the full 25% corporate income tax, that should drop that profit. Let me see. Income tax is that. I guess he's putting in the line. So you'd have lost 89 mil, almost 100. I mean, they would still be profitable. They'd still be more profitable than previously. Say 267 mil you have right there. They would be making in comparison to pre-APO, which was about 200 mil. So okay, yeah, I guess it does make sense to do it in that case if that works it out like that. Yeah, good deal. Good deal. I don't know about being so when you migrate like that, because I know
you have to pay back the tax.
You have to pay back the tax over the previous however long they've been on the junior market.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's also another thing. Because is it worth it? The amount of... So what Preston and I are saying is, once you're on the junior market, right? The first 5 years, you don't pay corporate income tax. So you get that tax break. And the next 5 years, you pay half of that, which is 12.5%. And then after that, you pay your full 25%. If you're migrating, if you're leaving the junior market early, for whatever reason, you do have to pay back the corporate income tax. So how much of our money they've accumulated via that tax break over the past 4 years since they've been listed, all of that has to be paid back, I believe, in fees to the JSE. I'd have to reread the rules just to ensure, but I'm pretty sure I remember reading it. That's why I was asking you. I know you know the rules a bit better than me. So, yeah. Just to see if it's worth it. Because if you do all these calculations and you realize that, all right, if we continue on this current trajectory, would it be profitable then? Hell yeah. And I'm pretty sure they would have. That's why they're eyeing this capital raise.
There was actually hold on. Oops. There was what was it, an earnings call at the damn, if I had done this better, it would have made it easier because I used some AI stuff to make it. But yeah, I was saying there was a earnings multitasking so hard. There was an earnings call that they had. Big up Jermaine from Learn, Grow, Invest. Yeah. Where I think someone asked them, like, how are you gonna I don't want to say the exact. So they were saying essentially like, how are you going to try to combat what sometimes happens with these
The APOs,
like, oh, a lot of them, like, our shareholders really benefiting, like, does it really trade above, I guess, the APO price and stuff like that? Because you're issuing new shares, and sometimes the earnings per share doesn't really go up when you factor that in. And I think what we should do is try to get the clip.
The earnings per share would go up if the share price drops, but we don't trade off of EPS. But I get what you're saying. And I remember watching that same interview. I remember watching that same interview, and I think I remember the question too.
Yeah, I want to try to pull the question because
Did he say something about like strategies to? Was it alluding to strategies to keep the share price up or something like that?
I think it was that. We can do, just in case, we can probably try to find the exact clip and the exact comment so that we're not. I don't want to misquote anyone.
Yes. So Jerome is asking, what are your thoughts on the dilutive effect of APOs, which has led all the companies that have done them to being down significantly in stock price? What will you do to make Tropical buck that trend?
So how we will buck that trend is we're going to produce higher earnings per share. And the ones that do an APO have not produced higher earnings per share. So if I have to dilute 20% and my shares are dilute, so we issue 20% more shares, but I increase my earnings per share by 50%, which is what we have been doing, the earnings per share gives you a higher stock price if you just trade at similar multiples. So if you're trading at 15 or 20 times earnings, if you have higher earnings per share, your stock price should continue to go up. And I think, secondly, to that, most companies that have done an APO, or some companies that have done an APO, have not done. I don't know, it's a tricky question. I think if we do one, and as we have planned to, you will see the way we approach it. I don't think will be how other companies have approached it. We're only doing it because we're going to the main market. And a lot of companies that have done it have not done it in the time of going to the main market. They may have done it in the junior market and stayed on the junior market. We're doing it as a process of moving to the main market, and that move to the main market, makes us more attractive to larger investors, pension funds, persons, more transparency. We're adding a new board member, independent board member from an accounting firm here. We are committed to transparency, growth, dividends, you name it. So I think that commitment to those things will drive our stock price higher, hands down.
So, I mean, the rate of growth that you have is very different from some of the companies that we've seen doing APO. So I do agree with that, because as you said, if your EPS continues to grow, then there is, the stock price is usually is ultimately up to the investors, but of course that'd be a compelling factor.
Okay, I think I have fixed it now. So okay, let me try to understand. So if they do the APO, they aim for 1.5 billion. And one of the things we should say, remember, they haven't confirmed APO. I mean, they've kind of sound like, hey, let's do an APO, but
I mean, in the interview, he said it sounded heavily APO.
Okay,
but I mean, it's never confirmed until it actually happens. That's one thing I learned about stocks. Never confirmed until it actually happens. Because imagine, look at this market. It might be hard for them to raise money right now, like currently. So
I mean, to me, the thing is, like, because of the industry that they're in, this is the kind of thing I think a lot of pensions would be very into, because it's like, renewable energy. They're more diversified. They're the largest player in the space. Like, it's something that's kind of, I don't know. I think a lot of pensions would like it still. So I wouldn't really.
Didn't you also think pensions like NCB and NCB's APO wasn't the same?
Yeah, but how much did they were raising way more though?
Household name, I guess. No, I'm not saying no.
My other thing is that I think certain pensions are probably limited because a lot of the pensions were already invested in in NCB versus something. I guess we can look at the top 10 of Tropical after this. But yeah, trying to see what I was. So, okay. So pre-APO with the current business, current earnings at $2. Earnings per share, last earnings per share earnings 205 million. So if they end up issuing the 500 million shares, I hope we're not losing people. I probably need to edit this to make it better. So if they issue the 500 million shares or 36% more shares, we're seeing here that the profit. Wow, interesting. Look at this. If my estate, you see how so right now they're paying they're making 205 million, but if they issue those shares, they make more money, but the earnings per share doesn't really change by much.
Yeah.
Interesting. See there, earnings per share doesn't really change by much.
And this is all assuming that they make the same amount
there's
of
still
money.
A lot of
and the stock price
that was the thing.
This
is still that's the thing. They're going for. This is a heavy assumptions because they're setting up stuff that should hopefully make them more money. They're trying to do more partnerships. I'm sure Rose has plans about how it can expand. Kaya has plans. And then this is the 1.5 billion. So say they end up going after the amount that they said they want. It's $2, we're assuming. Issue 750 million shares, which is 54% more shares. That's a decent amount more shares.
Yeah.
They could end up making 323 million versus 205 million. So it would increase. But then once again, the EPS, if I'm right here with my calculations, I hope could kind of change it last minute and stuff. The EPS hasn't really increased yet. So they really do have to do more because of the if what we're asked about the income tax, and this isn't even banking on. You could technically even work out if you're someone who is really serious about Tropical, you could work out how much money they'd have to pay back.
Yeah. If you really are serious, that's true. Because this is just assuming that they don't pay back money too.
All
right.
And I guess how that works, like, is it a one-time payment or is it like you can
payment over time, like a payment plan?
Yeah.
Because therefore the EPS would drop because you'd have to be spending. Well, it would still you'd have to take it out before profit. So yeah.
That's the big thing. For Tropical now, I think their APO. I mean, I hope they're successful. They raise their money.
Same.
The other things I should mention about their plans, they had formed a subsidiary in the US, Tropical Battery USA, and they are trying to do a lot of business, not just in the US. In this, also mentioned Canada and Mexico. So one of the things that they had mentioned, they actually want to sell, and I think it was supposed to start, but I was trying to look for their products. They were trying to sell their products on Amazon. I was trying to search for it, but I wasn't able to see any of the products when I was searching on Amazon because this was mentioned actually July last year, July 2023. And it had said that they wanted to plan by September last year towards the end of 2023. So, and they were saying that they expect this to add possibly 1.5 to 5 million US per year in revenue. So I guess that would be pretty interesting. They don't just want to make money. I like to see businesses in Jamaica, not just like you dominate Jamaica, but you also look into other countries, And they also have mentioned that they are still on the hunt for more acquisitions. These guys are just buying companies left, right, and center, buying Kaya, buying Rose, and they said that for now, I think they said they're going to kind of settle down, but they're still exploring acquisitions. They said they're looking at 3 potential acquisitions that they would consider possibly in 2025. Maybe it could be another battery manufacturer. Suppose the person who manufactures their batteries that they sell in like the automotives and stuff, could it be that they buy that person, so they're a customer now, but they're saying, hey, why don't we just take it in-house? We already manufacture through Rose, let's also manufacture our own product, earn more of the vertical. I don't know. And they even mentioned wanting to list on the NASDAQ, which is like another stock exchange in the US. But this was, I think they said years down the line, like 3 to 5 years. If for people who are watching in the future, big up. Let's see if Tropical ends up doing this. I think that'll be 2027 to 2029. And they also mentioned that Tropical Delivery, which is essentially like their delivery service, but it isn't just like the batteries that I had mentioned with my story. They're saying that they would even open it up to other people. So if you're someone else who wants to sell on their platform, you could sell some other product on their platform, and they would just deliver with like these bike guys, these special electric vehicles and stuff like that. And they're even looking eventually into cars. So it'd just be like them going into delivery of other products. Yeah. And just on management and ownership, as we had mentioned, that we're going to look at the top 10. So the largest shareholder owning 75% is is it pronounced this right? Diverse, which is essentially the Melvilles, Daniel, Alexander, Mark, all of that family. Conscious Capital, which I think is Alexander, is it? Alexander Melville, yeah. So it's a lot of the Melvilles essentially really own. I see that they have a pension from Tropical, which is nice too. Like the owners, the workers at Tropical can get some pension
Cheers.
from them. Yeah, they can get some. And Melville's really own and a lot of the company. NCB is in their PAM pooled equity, or JPS employees are not superannuation. Is that some related to a pension? I'm not sure. But yeah, like look at these kind of stuff, or even Select M. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some pensions or maybe even some of these other institutional investors investing. Because I think this is the kind of thing that they like to invest in still.
Yeah,
it would be actually interesting to see if Diverse buys into the APO and they try to keep
their stake,
some amount of their ownership. It'd be interesting. I'd love to see. I like to see where management. That's a question we should ask. We should ask them, like, will you be buying shares? Like, if they're buying shares in the APO, that boosts confidence, I guess, from my.
Tell them to buy on the open market too.
But yeah, I think that's really what I'd have to say about Tropical.
Super comprehensive, super detailed. I love it. Guys, if you like it, leave a like, right? Subscribe if you like to hear things like this. We do things like this all the time. Tickers, yes. Preston will leave a link so that if you guys are interested in us talking about certain companies, you can either leave it in the comments or click that link and put the ticker in it. And that way, the most requested ticker, we will talk more about it. You'll see it right on the show. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, let's see what Tropical has in store.
Yep.
Peace. Let us out.